Hey there, London, Cleveland, Rahway, Boston, Houston, Baltimore, Cardiff, and other places. I'm coming to you, ColtCabana.com, for all that information. Come see me live. All right, enjoy the show.
This is The Art of Wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
It's Colt Cabana.
All right, how you guys doing? Come on in. Let's do it. You're listening to The Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's a life podcast. It's a personal journal. It's an entryway into the minds, the souls, the hearts, and lives of the people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I am your host. My name is Colt Cabana. I am a fellow Jew. I'm a bit of a juggalo. I might even be a jugalo. Most importantly, though, I am a professional wrestler. We are sitting here live in the studio apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Before we go any further, this is a fan-supported and listener-supported podcast supported by people just like you. We give it to you free of charge every single Thursday. ColtCabana.com, SoundCloud, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts from. A couple great ways that you can support. Rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Tell a friend via social media, or if you got a couple of bucks in your pocket, head on over to ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, t-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, digital downloads, episodes 1 through 34. Don't forget both Wrestling Road Diaries and a brand new over-the-top style t-shirt done by CheapPopShop.com, ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. What? Are you kidding me? Goldberg. I think Grado might be the most excited for this one. If you didn't know, Grado and Goldberg became friends in Las Vegas when Grado was supposed to be on the biggest show in ICW history, and he had already planned a vacation to Las Vegas, so he didn't make the show, but he did end up hanging out with Bill Goldberg at a Las Vegas resort, and they became friends. I think there's an Instagram of it somewhere. That's not how this friendship began. This relationship kind of began, I guess, on Twitter when Bill? It's so weird to call him Bill, right? When Goldberg was very receptive. I'd put a little funny tweet here and there, and he'd come back with a funny tweet here and there. And usually you don't expect that. Sometimes when people tweet me and they try to be funny, but I'm like, that's lame, I don't tweet back. So I get if I write something to Goldberg and I think it's funny, and I can see him saying, that's lame, and he doesn't write back. But he did. I think at one point I said, we should be best friends. And he said, yeah, I'm in, or something like that. I don't think he said, yeah, he's not from the movie The Sandlot, but you get what I'm saying here. There's a couple things before you listen to this. A, I am not an interviewer. I have told you this a million times. These shows are meant for my friends and I to come on here and shoot the shit. So that's a bit of a problem. Now listen, he did the show, and he's amazing for that. To come on the podcast and be like, I'm on the podcast, let's do the podcast, here is my time. But again, I think this podcast is so much more valuable when it's real, two guys who are connected, or a guy and a girl who are connected, and it's easy to flow. So we are friends on Twitter, and I thought maybe that would make us friends in real life. I don't know. Sometimes it gets weird in there. Maybe not for him, but maybe for me. I also think that this is kind of funny to test my mentality, because there's a lot of people who might think like I'm a jockey dude. And I might think like, yeah, I played a little bit of college football and I played sports throughout my life, and I was never in any kind of theater or anything. But I really think that like this guy is the jockey dude. And like it really put it in perspective for me that I'm maybe on the other side of things these days. So when it gets, I don't know if it gets weird. I don't know if his sense of humor is different from mine. I don't know if we get caught on a couple of things, but it's interesting. It's interesting to hear. But in saying that, I think you'll get a lot out of it. I think it was a fun hour to waste with myself and Goldberg. I think he's a great dude. I am a fan of him personally, obviously, professionally, as you'll hear a little bit while we're in the podcast. But I think the backpack. Now listen to me here. Hear me out. The backpack really is a good visual aid of if a guy is a dude or not a dude. Vince McMahon, briefcase. Bill Goldberg, the backpack. That's a dude. You know what I'm saying? Are we with me here? He's a backpack man. That means he's down to earth. That means, he's one of us. One of us. For me, it was a good week. Finished up with Mick. Didn't get an opportunity to tell you about the Detroit show. The Detroit show was great. 400 people. I know I'm doing my part. I know you guys are coming out for me for a little bit of it. But he knows how to fill a room. He knows how to tell a story. And he's also got his ear to the ground, I think that's what's important. A lot of these guys have checked out with the wrestling community and everything, but Mick seems to have his ear to the ground, and we were sharing stories, and he was telling me, and it's important that he pleases everyone. And here's an example. I get this. Actually, I was listening to Henry Rollins on Pete Holmes' podcast, and he said this too, and I think it works for Mick also. These two, both big, giant superstars in whatever their world is. But if you genuinely upset somebody, it's genuinely upsetting to you. Like, you would think that some guys get so much mail and so much hate and so much trolling going on. But if there's like a genuine email or a tweet or whatever, like, you've really let me down, that goes, I don't know if that's guilt, but it goes on the soul. It's got to be a little bit of a guilt, and it goes with me too. I remember there was a guy from Scotland, and like he got fucked over years ago. And I didn't even know this, but I think he was on the Pro Wrestling Observer board or just the Wrestling Observer board, like bashing me and bashing me and bashing me. And like, I didn't even get to it until I guess it was years, and he was like known as the guy who hated Colt Cabana, and I don't remember his name, but like once I found out, and it wasn't about the hatred on me, it was about the idea that like I've made this man so upset, and I wanted to make right, and it wasn't about what I sent him or what I gave him or what I did to make it right, but it was just like I hated the idea, A, that I might have wronged this guy, and that B, like his feelings were that hurt about me. Now, obviously, there's people who are just going to hate and are just natural trolls, but I like to think the guys like on the Observer board and on the Reddit, I like to think it's some of the smarter fans, people with consciences. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but it hurt, and I know I did right by him, and I don't know if he's still bashing me or praising me, but like in my mind, I did him right eventually for what I had done him wrong. And I feel like Mick is like that. He's one of those people, whereas some people just don't give a fuck. So it was great to do that with Mick. I hope to do more in the future with Mick. I did an ICP show, and I was in Pittsburgh, and I watched the Royal Rumble with a bunch of people for the Wrestle Rumble. Hung out with Cliff for a couple of days. Good to see Cliff. Cliff actually put out a new DVD by himself of a shoot interview where he finally talks about Cherry and Deuce and Ace and all those guys. He put that out himself, which I commend, because it's his story to tell, and he gets into it, and that's available at cliffcompton.net. Bill Goldberg, he's on the show. Kind of gets weird, but it's kind of fun. Song of the Week this week is brought to you by Bombas, athletic leisure socks re-engineered to look better, feel better, and perform better. These are just great socks. Socks that they sent me, and socks that are now in my regular rotation, but they're also a great company. Buy some socks and you can be a great consumer. When you buy a pair of socks, Bombas gives a pair of socks to someone in need. Socks are the most requested item at homeless shelters, and since Bombas launched in October of 2013, Bombas has donated over 300,000 pairs. By going to bombas.com/Colt, not only do you donate what you buy, but you'll also get a free pair or 20% off, whatever works better for you. I've actually been wearing them to wrestle lately. They got a honeycomb design for strength, the cushioned blister tab at the ankle, and tested tension levels. These things are high quality and they last. They also have bees on them, so that's pretty great. Do something great for humanity, all while buying a pair of socks at bombas.com/Colt. That's BOMBAS.com/Colt. 20% off for a free pair. Thanks. Socks. All right, for the Song of the Week, a lot of you guys saw me, tweeted me, and mentioned, but for those of you who haven't, this is amazing. This week, John Darnielle of the Mountain Goats posted this amazing song about Chavo Guerrero Sr. In April, they're releasing an all-wrestling themed album, which I basically have decided that probably April will be Mountain Goats month. Why not, right? Follow them on Twitter at mountain_goats and mountain-goats.com. Enjoy this great song and come on back for Goldberg. Shalom. That's something you had to do before?
Clear a room? Clear the way? Absolutely.
Do you want to describe? Did you feel bad about that at all?
Absolutely.
You
They're
did
here.
feel it.
They're here to have fun. They're not here to be quiet. They paid good money to come through the door.
Yeah.
They donned their goofy costumes to come and role play. And did I feel bad? Absolutely, because 60% of them were kids. But they get the point, and the reality is that we have a job to do.
It's important that we jump on here. This is the most important job of all time.
There you have it.
When did you become such a goofball, man?
I've been a goofball ever since I was born. Dude.
Ever since?
Yeah, I just don't show anybody.
Well,
many people.
Super. So in wrestling terms, you'd always hear about guys like Brad Armstrong, and maybe he's like the only one, I don't know. But of those guys who are just super goofy behind the scenes.
I wasn't, I guess for the group that I hung around in, I was the goofy guy. But no, I always had to keep that persona thing going,
Even back around.
Although, like I said, I traveled with Nash and with Steiner and Hennig, and there's only so much seriousness that can be had there.
Of course.
So you had to blend in and be a goof like they all were.
And you were like, hey guys, let's keep it quiet. And I
didn't open my freaking mouth, believe me, because, no matter my age, I was the young boy there, and I had to follow and learn and keep my mouth shut and, be politically correct. Well, politically correct. That was the furthest thing from what happened when we were all together. But, I was a bit more reserved. For sure.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Anytime, dude. It's been a long time. I told you I was going to do it a long time ago. It's, these podcasts
they've taken on a life of their own.
Are can be a pain at times because it's a block of time to where most all your guests are at least doing something here and there. But when you got the Zoom and you can go on the road, this is the only way. to do it.
Well, even when because I do them at wrestling shows, because I'm traveling around, still a full time wrestler. It's still you got to think about. Well, they're at the arena. Well, we got a show. Well, I got to do merchandise. So even then, it's still hard. And you're just doing them in the studio. Am I correct?
Not anymore, dude.
Okay.
I'm doing them on my phone.
Okay.
I got the little plug-in. I do them on my phone. The call-ins. I can say, for instance, Strahan. I got a hold of Strahan earlier today, and he's like, well, when can you do it? Or when do you want to do it? And I'm like, hey, dude, the reality is right now I can do it anytime you have time. So when you're trying to get a guest that's as busy as a Strahan, you can't say, oh, well, here's the date and here's the time,
Weird. Now you're like a guy, because I've never been a guy like waiting on people. Not waiting on, but like you want to be attentive to their needs as possible, right?
You have to be.
Yeah,
unless you're a dick, like most of the people in our business. But don't oh man me. It is. It's facts are facts. You have different experiences than me, so therefore I can voice my opinion about my experiences, and mine were mostly negative, but that is what it is.
People are dicks in wrestling. I
don't want to make that generalization, but they can be,
yes.
And many times for no reason whatsoever, just to be, and that's the chicken shit stuff that I didn't have time for, man.
At your core, a nice guy?
I'm not one to...
Do you think...
I'm more than a nice guy, dude. I do things for people. I try to treat people how I'd like to be treated, period, end of story. That's how I was raised, and it'll never change.
And the stories I hear from you, right? Nice, kind, courteous, fun. There's also people that say I'm a nice... And this isn't you, I'm just saying, but like, maybe you know these guys. I know all these guys because... If every single person in the world says I'm a nice guy, treat how then there are no dicks. But we
actions
know there
speak
are
louder
dicks.
than words, man. So I don't ever go around and profess that I'm a nice guy. I like to be the antithesis of what people think I am. People think I'm a guy who walks around and smashes people and beats his head against the wall. Well, guess what? I am that guy. But there's also the times that I'm 6:30 in the morning. I'm eating Cocoa Puffs and watching SpongeBob with my son, and doing things for, on the way over here, Randall Thrill Hill, called Uncle Louie and asked if I could stop by and take pictures with his kids. Well, whether it was Randall Hill or whether it was, Engelbert Humperdinck or whatever the hell, Humpty Dumpty, I don't care, man. That to me was the reason why I got into why I got into professional football, because I wanted to be somebody that the kids could look up to. I unfortunately wasn't good enough, and I got hurt, and I had to find another way to be that guy, and wrestling was it.
First of all, who's Randall Thrill?
He played for University of Miami.
Okay.
He was in the NFL fastest man competition. He played for the Dolphins.
Faster or not faster than Rocket Ishmael?
I think faster for sure.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Even though I know Rocket, but I'm sorry, dude. But, I mean, it is what it is.
Fair enough.
Both faster than me.
Okay. So, your number one passion was football.
Absolutely. It's all I ever wanted to do as a kid. Both my brothers, at the time, 16 and 18 years older than I am. So when I was a kid, they were in college. They played for the University of Minnesota. I was a kid that traveled and watched them play all the time.
Did your family have them kind of early, or that's a big gap? 16,
I was
18.
a mistake.
You were a mistake?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And you're okay with that?
What can I do about it? Well, I mean, whether I'm okay with it or not, it's a fact.
Did you piece that together yourself?
No, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to freaking figure out that 14 years.
It's still a hard
my
thing to
sister's
hear.
14 years. No, I don't care. I could care less.
I don't know.
I really could care less.
Okay. I heard my dad was married before my mom, and it blew my mind.
That's different. That's a little different. I don't know how much different, but my dad was married, a number of times.
Okay.
Did some things that weren't too nice to my mom, but you separate those things and you take them for what they are, and at the end of the day, I don't know. Huh? My dad liked the women.
Is your dad still around?
No.
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 Is that how, did you have a weird judgment of your dad?
A little bit, because I was, the brothers and the sister were gone. I was the one in the household that had was the brunt, or was took the ill effects of the divorce, of the nasty divorce. I was in high school. Mom wanted to move down to Boca Raton. Dad wanted to stay in town because he was an obstetrician gynecologist. That's where his practice was, and it was tough, man, because one pulled me away from the other, and it was a strange time. I mean, the way that the relationship that I had with my dad was more of a friend relationship at times, especially after the divorce. Prior to it, I mean, everything was normal. I went to football games every Friday with him all around Oklahoma because he was an umpire on the side. He was an obstetrician gynecologist, and then he was an umpire. He had a love for football. So,
who'd you live with, mom or dad, or did it switch up?
I switched up.
You switched up.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like an asshole.
Do whatever you want.
Where'd you grow up again?
I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do your fucking work, man.
I know.
This is your podcast.
Here's the
right?
problem. Well, I wanted to have this talk as we did it. No, because it is more of, and I'll say this, as a Jewish kid, I definitely had your book, right? But I don't read. So, I looked at the pictures, man. They were
That's
awesome.
why I wrote it, man, for people who can't read. I made it in my own voice, easy to read. A lot of pictures.
Yeah, the pictures were great. But this podcast is more about a getting to know, if you will. It's to me, and I love the process, that the idea that people will be to sit here to kind of have. We've had interactions on Twitter, and I hope, as a Jewish wrestler myself, and I know that's not what it's all based on, but I do want to touch on that a little bit, that maybe the name Scotty Goldman or Colt Cabana has came to your attention as a wrestler.
A couple times, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
No question.
Which makes me happy, right?
Well, I mean, we got to stick together, dude. No matter what profession we're in.
Mm-hmm. I'm not practicing. I don't know where it comes to you, but I know that
Last time I was at the synagogue prior to lighting the menorah at the community center, last Hanukkah, was my bar mitzvah.
fair enough. You and I both.
Is what it is.
Memorized or learned?
Memorized, dude. You're kidding, right? Absolutely. I memorized every bit of it.
I had a recorder, and the Hebrew teacher would say the Haftorah and the Torah, and then she would record it, and then you just learn how to say it.
I said the Shema prayer for Hanukkah, and I had to read it, but in English.
You're right.
In the
phonetically
spelled
out?
out. Yes, absolutely. I mean, hey, it is what it is.
Right.
I say that 50 times, but I mean,
Bar mitzvah. Did you show out a little bit?
in what respect? What do you mean?
I mean, I remember I got a laugh, and it was the greatest sensation of
No,
it.
I was terrified, dude.
Business.
I went straight to I was
Get
all
it over
business.
with. What was
All
your
business.
theme at your bar mitzvah?
I don't remember, man.
You have to remember.
I don't
this.
remember. I don't even think I had a theme. My theme was let's get as many bar mitzvah gifts as possible. I really don't know. I can't remember.
Because I grew up in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, and I guess I don't. Is it the same kind of scene? Like it's every parent trying to outdo each other. Are there a lot of Jewish families in Oklahoma?
No.
Yeah.
No, not very many.
How did your dad's practice? Is that what took you there?
Yeah. Yeah.
At school, I guess junior high school at that time. Were you the only bar mitzvah guy?
I would say he God, yeah.
Yeah, because when I grew up, it was you went to 4 a week, and that was like you the parents had to call each other and had to separate it.
Same
out.
deal.
Yeah, but if there was 3 people that at your town,
Well, town, yeah. School, I was like the only one. But, I had friends that went to, private school here
Okay.
and here, and then, we stuck together.
all right. Wrestling. All right. Well, let's get to football a little bit. Sorry. So, you big time player, high school, right? I'd imagine. Boom. The offers are coming in. Who's offering you colleges?
Everybody. I mean,
Everybody.
not everybody, but I mean, most, I'd say everybody that I ever wanted to recruit me recruited me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was very lucky.
This is the 80s?
Yeah, 85 was when I graduated from high school, yeah.
Okay. Are you I mean, all I know is thinking about half cut mesh jerseys.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The whole deal.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cowboy collars.
Got it all.
All right, flat top with some.
No, I had a beard. I had a beard in high school, for God's sakes, and a long, flowing, feathered hair.
I think I've seen those pictures.
Oh yeah, they're good, huh?
Did wrestling ever come up? Were there guys? So I played a year of college football. Not even putting myself in your own shoes or whatever. But there was guys on the team, and I guess at that time, when I went to college, probably when you were in WCW, wrestling was kind of was hip and was kind of cool at that point, and so people would. It's funny how I became the only person to become a professional wrestler. Actually, Matt Capitelli, a guy who won Tough Enough, but I kept to myself, and there's a lot of wrestling centric people on the team. It was something that people did that they.
Not that I remember at all.
You remember? It all?
No, I the only memory I have as a child of wrestling, period, was watching it with my grandmother every Saturday night, Texas Championship Wrestling. That, and I told the story earlier today. I went to one wrestling match live as a kid, and it was to see Kamala. That was it.
Okay. Why is Kamala the one that attracts you?
How the hell do I remember? I mean, he was a scary dude, and
But you were like-
I thought it was cool.
You said what, Mom? We got to go see Kamala,
No, I went with my buddy.
buddy, Fred. We got to go see Kamala.
I think so. Yeah.
Come on.
What am
How
I
do you
gonna,
find out
Am
about-
I going to lie to you? Dude? You
I
obviously don't know me
at all. Well, I want to
So
know you.
I don't know why we went down there. I think it was my buddy's idea.
Okay.
I just remember him scaring the shit out of me. Kamala did.
But he was the one that that was
He was the one
experience
that we
for
went
you.
down to see. Yeah.
And did you later ever meet Kamala?
No, but I told a story earlier today about hearing about him, his troubles, and we're going to put a fundraiser together for him. Hopefully, you'll be a part of it too.
Sure, I'd love to help out.
I saw that story on Yahoo, and I don't know him, never met him, but he's the only tie I have to childhood memory of wrestling.
Yeah.
So I feel as though I know 2 or 3 people and can get something done, and why not, see if you can find some like-minded boys and put some money in this guy's pocket.
And you are charitable, and it's something you do. These kind of situations come up a lot. I have friends in higher positions, and it's hard to pick and choose almost your battles.
It's very tough. But he's one of our own.
Okay.
He's one of our own.
So I mean, I'm kind of intrigued in that world of who you choose to help, and I know you can't help everybody, and it's amazing that if anyone helps anybody. I mean, is it a matter of someone bringing stuff to you, or getting filtered through an email, or just
It could be any of the above.
something like
It really, it's something as simple as a friend who's a police officer picking up the phone and saying, you know what, we're doing a charity event for a family that, you know, the husband, the father was killed in the line of duty. And, you know, I went down and I took a bunch of memorabilia. I wasn't going to be in town at the time during the event. And so I took a bunch of memorabilia down and I dropped it off. And I said, you know, anything I can do to help, I'm here, you know, because that's our duty. It really is. As human beings, but as celebrity, quote unquote, I'm not whatever, if you want to call me whatever. But hey, if my celebrity status helps me raise money for a good cause, then damn it, that's why I'm who I am.
Right. But then on the flip side, there's got to be so many people asking so many things.
Absolutely. And it's an honor and it's hard to say no.
Yeah.
But, you know, you pick and choose your battles, like you said.
Okay. I'm very interested in wrestling, obviously, the professional wrestling side. So your words, maybe, did you say you failed at the NFL or you weren't able?
Oh, I wasn't good enough to play in the NFL. I mean, I struggled just to make the team.
Okay.
And but I tore my abdomen off of my pelvis, and I played the whole year with it. Well, I sat on the bench most of the year with it, but I played sparingly. And
Can't put a cast on that, right?
No. Sports hernia. That's what they call it now. And I got operated on at Duke University, and right after the season ended, and two expansion teams were out, Carolina and Jacksonville, and they took 4 guys from each team, and they threw them in a draft, and I got drafted by Carolina and showed up at Carolina, and they had no idea that I had just had surgery. And so I walked into the
Sounds like wrestling.
Exactly. I walked into Dom Capers' office, who was the head coach, and I said, you know what? I mean, you're going up and I'm going down. The reality is we got to probably part ways because I don't have much of a shot to be here, and I need to start with the rest of my life.
Did you get a signing bonus on that draft? Was that a thing on that expansion draft? I remember those.
I don't know if I did or not. I never made enough money in the NFL to ever remember it.
Really?
Never. I was always a minimum guy, and
did you
I think the fine that I paid for hitting a dude my last game almost equaled half of my salary.
What was the hit?
Deion Sanders is a good friend of mine, and he, you know, caught a punt and went out of bounds, and guys just demolished him about 10 yards out of bounds. And
you're an enforcer.
I came from the other side of the sideline, and I plowed some dudes, and I mean, he's a buddy of mine. You got to take care of your friends.
That's a teammate mentality, which later, then you come into pro wrestling.
Yeah. And then I learned to disregard that feeling.
It's really true, though, isn't it? It's amazing coming from team sports going into the world of wrestling.
Yeah, because, you know, I got into the business, and I was always one to do anything that anybody ever told me to do because I didn't know the business. I still don't know the business. So I always took direction from people, and unfortunately sometimes the ulterior motives of the people giving me the directions weren't present, weren't obvious to me because I trusted everybody. And, you know.
At what age do you go into Dom Capers' office and say, hey, we're splitting?
God, I can't remember, man.
In your 30s?
Not yet.
Yeah. So you're
not yet.
In your late 20s.
Yeah.
Like, being like, well, my career here is over.
I was a realist.
Right.
You know, I mean, yeah, I was a realist.
And then, okay, so you got to, again, the book has sat on my house. I've looked at the pictures. I don't know how deep I've dove into it. But what sparks pro wrestling for you? That, hey, this could be our thing. And by our,
my accountant picked up the phone and said, you better get off your ass and go make some money. Yeah. And I'd been around Dallas Page and the Steiners and
at the gym?
Those guys, whether it was at the gym or at the
S joint,
the Gold Club, or stuff like that. Those guys were always out. Dallas always gave me the pitch, and Sting. I worked out at Sting and Lex Luger's gym, Main Event Fitness, and
you're in Atlanta at this point.
Yeah, I was with the Falcons. No, I was with the Falcons then.
With a family or just
hell no,
just you?
So push me.
Any kind of I'm not looking for any, but like. Any kind of like downward spiral of some sort, like, hey, my career's on the fringe. I'm not sure what to do.
Oh, if you read my freaking book,
I told you. I've seen the pictures.
People that I went into depression for probably a year. I mean, I flew down here to Miami, worked for my brother, looking up engine discs for God knows how long, and I had no direction. My dream was over with, and I didn't have any money in the bank, and so I had to reinvent myself again.
you moved. So you went down here to Miami, and then you came back to Atlanta.
I went to Miami, and then
You're like engine discs aren't my.
what did I do here? Yeah, that was in between. Yeah, I moved down here, and then I got picked up. Then I went back to the Rams for training camp, and I tore my hamstring, got cut, and then went to the World Football League for the spring, and then went straight 3 weeks later from the World Football League to the Falcons in the NFL.
Okay. You see these guys at the gym. Are they spend? They look like they're living the lifestyle of money and fame.
That wasn't it. That was never anything that drew me to it. It was the competitiveness. I'm 48 years old, and I spar 3 days a week right now, and I don't do it because, I think there's a future in it for me. I do it because if I don't, I'll walk the streets and I'll headbutt people. I mean, it's just the way I'm wired. Okay. It's a good thing and it's a bad thing. It gave me the ability to be the over-the-top Goldberg in the ring, be the over-the-top Goldberg on the field, but, sometimes there's a detriment to being wired like that. So I have to find ways of soothing myself, of expelling those bad feelings.
Are you a yoga man by any chance?
Hell no.
We'll make sure DDP doesn't hear this. By the way.
DDP can hear it all he wants. That's DDP. I mean, it's not a knock on him. It's just the
course.
fact that I'm totally different.
Of course, you go and you want this competition. You love the idea of competition, and I assume you don't know the world of crazy politics and professional wrestling, right?
Never assumed. Yeah.
Yeah. Not hindsight, if you will. But did you once you start seeing all the bullshit? Did you ever think maybe there was another way to express your the competition?
Mixed martial arts wasn't big.
Right.
I owned one of the largest MMA gyms in the world. Right when I got into wrestling, I opened one up in Atlanta, and
under what guise?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to open up a gym now. You were broke.
No, this is right when I got into the business.
Right, which you said you were broke.
Well, I wasn't broke long because I pretty much made it pretty high in the business in a very short time.
Yeah,
I made more money in the first 6 months of wrestling than I did my entire my football career.
Okay, so I'm saying this wasn't before you got into wrestling. This is while that run was happening.
Just right at the beginning.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay,
it all happened at once.
Gotcha. So with that big rate, you opened up that MMA gym.
Opened up the MMA gym, and the reason why I at that time, mixed martial arts was just in its embryonic state, and I was a huge fan of it, but I knew a couple of the guys, and they didn't make dick. They made nothing. And eventually I knew it would catch on, and eventually I knew that the guys would get the paycheck they deserved, but it was never an option when I was that age. Mm-hmm. I had a love of martial arts. That's why I opened the deal.
On your own? Did you get with a team?
I had a partner.
Okay.
I had a partner who ended up stealing from me, and that's why the business went under. But, those things happen. You live and learn, and hopefully you can grow from it.
Yeah. Don't talk to that guy anymore.
No, I could have, I could have run him over in a car. I could have sued him. But, he was a single father with a little girl at home. And, it was a good write-off for me at the time.
Yeah. And
it's a good way to look at it.
And hopefully he can live with knowing that he's a piece of shit, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
he has to live with that the rest of his life. Me, I get to live knowing that I didn't ruin this little girl's life.
Yeah.
So for me, that's enough.
Okay. You get in, those guys, they say what? Let's get you to the power plant?
Yeah, I picked up the phone and I called, I called Jim Ross, and then I flew up and I met with Vince. And I didn't
Can I ask who gives you Jim Ross's number?
I've been with Jim Ross for years. From Oklahoma. Jim Ross used to cover us from Oklahoma.
Gotcha.
High school football, Oklahoma football, all that. So I've been in contact with Jim. And then I didn't like my meeting up there with Vince. Right. And then I called Bischoff and I said, listen, in the next 24 hours, I could sign a developmental deal with WWEF at the time. And I said that I don't feel comfortable there. I said, if you'll have me, then I got an idea, and I'm not going to be some $500 throw around the ring jack off. I'm going to make a difference. That was my exact statement to him. And it wasn't braggadocious. It was confidence in that I saw what everyone else was doing. I thought I had a great idea for a character. And I knew my work ethic, once I applied it to something, whether it be wrestling or football or whatever, I knew I could excel if the circumstances were such that the politics wouldn't keep me down. Mm-hmm. Granted, many football players have made the transition and not succeeded. And at the end of the day, I think I was in the right place at the right time. But I did have the right work ethic, and the stars aligned.
Mm-hmm. The meeting with Vince McMahon, just the way he rubbed you as a dude.
When I walked into the office and I was sitting out with the secretary, and it suddenly dawned on me that I'd forgotten to call my agent, my football agent, because I never assumed that logic would tell you that you need a representative, especially if you've understood the business world and you come from professional football. And I went, damn, I forgot to call my agent. And the secretary says, oh, Mr. McMahon doesn't like to deal with agents. That was it right there.
It gave you an idea of
absolutely
what he was about.
Yeah.
And Eric Bischoff was okay talking to your agent?
He didn't have a choice at that point.
Right. And he did talk to your agent. Yeah. Your idea for your character that you had, did it sway any way different? It was the Goldberg character?
Yeah, it grew.
So
no, it never swayed. It was exactly what I thought, what I wanted it to be, but I didn't really know exactly what that was. I knew I wanted to be a very agile 290-pound defensive lineman that knew submission and that knew some striking and that threw a couple kicks, because I knew that MMA was going to be the next big thing.
You always saw the character as kind of an MMA hybrid then.
Absolutely. I was a cross between a 300-pound defensive lineman, Mike Tyson, and an MMA dude.
And that was your vision going on.
I wore black trunks, black boots, black gloves. I didn't talk, Mike Tyson. I smashed people within 2 minutes, Mike Tyson. I did submission stuff, I did back handspring, MMA. Right. Football, the tackle.
Who's training you at
Sarge?
The Sarge.
Sarge, and then High Voltage had a lot to do with everything that I did. All the submission stuff. Robbie and Kenny, used to come down to my gym, and man, they trained heavy. They were. Robbie Rage was the big time submission guy.
He was doing stuff in New Japan. Am I incorrect? Like, was he?
I wouldn't doubt
stuff?
it. I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah,
okay,
no
and
doubt.
he had a background in submissions.
Yeah, trained at my school.
Okay. Do you speak highly of Sarge?
Oh God, absolutely. Sarge made me. Sarge pushed me. Sarge gave me the ability to say, you know what, this little sumbitch ain't making me break. And he taught me so much stuff. Why hit a guy 15 times if one punch can, makes a difference.
Right. Because, I don't know. I was never there. I've seen some documentaries. I've seen Sarge. But do you appreciate him more as a football guy, I guess? Seems like he has that football coach mentality.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. Hard ass.
Right.
Making you pay your dues in the gym and not letting anybody skate away from anything. Hell, I remember him making Sapp throw up, daily.
Bob Sapp, he was there with you in class. Because I was going to ask about the other football players that maybe were around.
Bob was the only one.
Bob was the only one.
Yeah. At the camp with me, football player-wise, I think, that I remember.
Did you keep in touch with him afterwards?
I talk to him all the time.
Because
when I can get him to get away from his reptiles and all the weird Japanese stuff.
Because he became a sensation in Japan.
I don't even know if that's the way to put it.
Have you ever seen his music video?
No.
It's so good.
I can imagine.
You have to watch it. And there's little Japanese girls dancing behind him, and he's dancing in the middle.
He has no conscience whatsoever.
No conscience.
Zero. Absolutely.
He was the only other football guy there with you.
I think so.
Okay.
I think Reese was down there at the time, and like I said, High Voltage was down there. And
was it like a class, or were there just a revolving door of people just kind of coming in?
Both. You had your bulk group of guys that were training, but every once in a while, the baseball player,
the Demon,
he was
Torborg.
Down there at the time. Dale Torberg, yeah, right. Good kid.
And did you see, so a lot of us in wrestling, I came from a wrestling class and we all kind of grew up together in wrestling. Did you have a bond like you would in football, I guess, as a freshman at a university?
Well, absolutely. You go like guys that you're going through hell with. You can't but form a bond with them.
And I'd have to imagine that's the part you enjoyed.
Absolutely.
Right.
No doubt. And
do you have close relationships with those guys still, or at least
a couple of
friends?
A couple of them, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then, you've made it really apparent that the politics and just the craziness behind it, I guess, like when do you first start seeing it?
When Hogan told me, "Hey, brother, things up at WWE are a lot different." When Vince says something, whether you want to do it or not, you should do it. And I'm like, man, I knew at that point he had no idea who I was as a person, because I don't care what you got to do to further yourself. Changing my ideas of who I am and what I stand for aren't going to change.
Where was that in the in that?
That was prior to going up there. That was a couple of years before going up there.
Before going to
WWE.
To WWE. But this was in WCW?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this was before or after the
in between
the Georgia Dome match?
Oh, it was after that.
After the match.
Yeah, it was after that. It was, I think, when things were in turmoil with the WCW going down and everybody going up there.
So while it was hot and while you were riding everything, it was all roses for you.
No, it wasn't all roses by any stretch. You had your Regals who would, you go out and have a match, and he was an old dick, either jealous or I don't know what it was, resentful or trying to test me, doing things that aren't kosher in the ring. When a guy's giving you his body, when I'm trying to do nothing but learn, and, you take advantage of a kid like that. I mean, stuff like that every once in a while. But I mean, it was great times, man. I mean, I didn't really know the bad times, and that's why I've always been guilty about the position that I made it to, or was given or was cast in, because I didn't jump off buildings for $20 to be on TV for 15 years to make it through the Indies. And I'm not taking anything away from those guys, but at the end of the day, I don't have to do that to be able to put asses in seats. And it's not my fault that I didn't, because I was paying my dues on the football field.
Right. When did you start learning about the Indies? Do you remember a time where that concept of the independents or working your way up? Were there guys in WCW saying that this is something that we did? Maybe you should know about it.
No,
or
Raven brought it to my attention.
I don't doubt that. Yeah.
And it was when we were riding together with Nash, and we were leaving one place, and I jumped in the front seat, and he goes, "No, sit in the back seat." And I said, "Listen, bro. If this is a dues thing, I paid my dues on the football field having 320-pound guys trying to rip my freaking head off every day. So don't tell me about paying dues. I don't have to, ride in a car with 6 other people and go from show to show for $20. That's not what I've been doing. I mean, and don't hold it against me that I haven't. But the fact is that I'm here, and I'm here to do a job, and it's not I didn't choose my position. And let's band together. And, I can't do anything without guys like Raven and guys like Eaton and Bob and Brad Armstrong and I mean, all these guys, they taught me and made me who I was. And but don't be a dick to me and think that I don't appreciate that. That's where I don't see eye to eye with a lot of people in that.
As you're training and going through with Sarge, are you just when am I going up? When am I starting this?
No.
When are we starting Goldberg?
No, because I never imagined that anything like what happened would happen. Never. Because I always needed time to get better, perfect my craft, because I had a tripod and I set up cameras and I'd study everything I did every day. And I'd try to see. I came up with the character because I thought that if it was cool to me, that everyone would like it. Not to come off as a jerk, but I thought that that's what would happen. And so if I would look at myself objectively in developing moves and carrying through with moves and moving around the ring, and I could see a flaw, then I'd try to perfect that so nobody else could see it. So I've got 80. I'm very anal about stuff like that. When you're out there in your underwear, man, you want to look as good as possible, and you want to be as efficient as possible, and you want to look as real as possible, especially when your character is predicated on being the monster that smashes people within 2 minutes.
When they first started, did you think you were ready to go?
No, not at all.
Did you question why they were bringing you up so early in your mind?
No, I honestly I did what people told me to do. I didn't question it because who am I to question it? Because I don't know the business.
Right.
I can't look at myself as is he ready or not? Because I don't know.
So who gave you? I mean, I imagine. So you're training. You're out of the power plant. Who's we're going to start this? Do you remember? Is there meetings?
Jody, I think it was Jody. Because when we were taping down at Universal Studios,
Jody Hamilton
had a lot to do with it. Sarge, I don't know who else.
But I hear, and again, I don't know. So at the time, what, Bischoff's in charge, and who's underneath him just on the book? Maybe Nash?
No, not at that time.
Okay.
I don't know.
So even if it's Bishop, and there's no way that Jody Hamilton, in my mind, or Sarge is going to call up Eric Bischoff and go, hey, he's ready to go, right?
I don't know. I don't know how that stuff happens.
Okay. Well, then
and I don't care. I don't. I just know that it happens.
It's intriguing. I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah.
That
makes one of us.
You know,
because I really don't.
As long as it just happens.
Yeah. I mean, no. Hey, whatever happens, happens. If I was the guy that got beat every night, then that was my position. I mean, I probably would have looked at it a lot differently because things wouldn't have been so rosy for me. But I was only part of the equation.
Yeah. So can you take me through? Do you remember? I mean, as wrestlers, like I remember the jitters or the weirdness around all of my first day. I remember
I got them from my first match to my last match. I got them from my first football game to my last football game. And the day that those go away is the day that you need to question what the hell you're doing.
And tell me about, like, I just kind of want to know, like, the whole day of were they starting with the streak and everything from the ongoing?
No, absolutely not. It was organic. It just happened.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I remember, okay, I watched everything in that era. I remember, I want to say you were announced as Bill Goldberg the first match, but maybe
Bill
not.
Gold.
You were Bill Gold.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Down in Orlando. Yeah.
Okay. And I remember. So well, maybe I don't remember then because when you hear Goldberg and you're a Jewish kid, you remember it. No matter.
No shit.
No matter what.
I like how you discount the Jewish thing and the fact that, you know, when I was wrestling and you were coming up and, you don't really remember. That's funny. I like that.
Wait, I'm saying I
like
100% remember. But if you were Bill Gold, I don't know if I would have remembered.
I think I was only announced as Bill Gold one time.
I'm saying, so then maybe the second. I'm just saying I don't remember if I remember the date, the exact debut.
When I wrestled Hugh Morris in Salt Lake City, I was Goldberg.
Okay, then maybe that was the first one I saw. And of course I remembered. Why would I Goldberg? That's like I remember as a kid.
I would hope so.
When Barry Horowitz wrestled, I was like,
exactly.
Holy
Barry
shit!
Horowitz, Levy, and me.
How is Barry Horowitz on TV as a professional wrestler? Ben Horowitz at Hebrew School is the same name.
He was the typical Jewish guy. Though.
Yeah.
He played that role perfect.
But I couldn't believe he was. I didn't have any heroes like that in pro wrestling. None, especially at that time. Me personally. Who else would I have known?
I wrestled him, but I mean, as far as being a representative for us, I mean, I didn't even know Levy was Jewish. I didn't even know the Raven was Scott Levy. I didn't even know.
But that's what I'm saying. Horowitz was the only one.
Yeah,
I
really didn't even. And I didn't. I mean, he obviously stuck out like a sore thumb because it's like Goldberg.
Right. It's a name. So it stuck with me. I got it. But it was an organic. You're saying the whole push and the whole movement was organic because I am intrigued.
The push was not organic, but the gravity of the push and the streak was organic. Okay. I think Tanay came up with it, or Shivani, or collectively they did.
You think they started mentioning it on air?
I know they did. Yeah.
By them without someone in their ear.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I really don't know. I think it was a combination of all the above. I mean, it just happened. I mean, and they listened to the reaction of the crowd.
Yeah. I mean, we're winding down here. I love you coming on here and talking wrestling.
No, I appreciate it. It's been a long time. I told you I'd do it a long time ago. And
yeah.
No reason that I haven't done it except for, God, these things are such a pain in the butt to, sit down and do 30 minutes. But when you got it on the fly, dude, it's absolutely
backpacked
the best.
And ready to go.
It's the best.
Yeah. You've been you hop, like you'll do these international tours every now and then. Am I correct? Like you're kind of
wrestling wise.
Yeah. You'll
well, I mean, when I got done with WWE, I did, but I haven't done that since the movie The Longest Yard. That was 10 years ago.
Did you? I think
I aspired to wrestle in Japan when I first got into the business because I watched Steiner Brothers, because I watched all the tapes, training over there. I watched UWF. I watched Pancrase. I watched a bunch of stuff and getting ready to do what I did.
With your character, who was pushing that on? Because someone obviously has to introduce you to those, right?
To the tapes?
Because obviously Pancrase
I did it all myself.
And Battle Arts.
I did it all myself.
You were aware of that,
absolutely.
the wrestling style.
I searched stuff out, and if I didn't know what it was, and I'd search it, and I'd look at pro wrestling in Japan, and I look at pro wrestling, shoot wrestling, and I'd watch everything I could find. Like old stuff and just really cool stuff. And the thing I liked about UWF is and Pancrase is it was shoot and it was wrestling.
Well, it fit the character you were going for.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Did anybody
with
stand
the
out
little
for you?
Nikita Koloff and
Anybody stand out for you that you really dug?
Brody.
Okay.
Obviously, he was the man. He was awesome.
Yeah. So you that was the goal,
about it.
And you wanted to go to Japan and wrestle.
That was my goal, my wrestling goal.
Yeah.
Because I knew you had made it as an American wrestler if you could go over and be that guy in Japan. Right. Plus, it was fun. It looked like the Steiners were having a great time smashing people over there. And I was a physical guy. I mean, I'm sorry, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And you still get that out of training these days still, like you say. You love the physicality.
Absolutely. I love it.
Do you get it out of cars?
Hell no. I get it out of going to a Muay Thai gym, and I get it out of having a 2,500 square foot gym at my garage. Yeah. And I train 3 days a week. I got here a day early. I went to American Top Team yesterday and trained with King Mo and Justin Poirier and a couple other guys. Bigfoot Silva was there. I mean, it was awesome. I have no ego when it comes to that, man. I'm Goldberg. I've done a lot of things that a lot of people would love to do. So I now am a sponge for martial arts, and I have no problem going somewhere and having somebody kick my ass because you learn from that. And it's hard work. I'm a student again, and I very much enjoyed perfecting a craft. And martial arts is something you can never perfect because there's always something else to learn. So even at an accelerated age, with my cane, at 48 years old, I can learn new stuff, and I can be even more dangerous than I was when I was playing on the football field. That's empowering.
In what instances would you use this danger?
Anytime I wanted to.
Just the crackheads if you need.
Oh, hey, man. It's nice to be able to go into the gym and train with guys who are getting ready for UFC fights, getting ready for Bellator fights, and know that you can hang with them. Right. And know that if you put as much time in it as they did at that time in your life, you could have possibly done something. So I still hang on to that. And, hey, man, I'd love to do a exhibition Muay Thai match against somebody. I'd love it. Absolutely love it.
Like, what scenario do you see? Like a promoted event, a televised event, a pay-per-view, a not so big, just so you can get in there and do it. Charity,
all the above.
It'd just be fun.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I just love doing it.
That's cool.
I do, but I'm not stupid enough to not have everybody capture the excitement of me doing it for the first time and making something good come out of it. We're playing around with something right now this summer, maybe.
Very cool, man.
You never know.
Anything you're hyping?
No, man. But Who's Next with Goldberg, the podcast that I do, it's totally, like I told you, man, it's totally different than everybody else's. And, I don't go out and push it here and push it there. And for me, it's a side thing, and it's fun, man. I get to rekindle relationships with guys that I haven't talked to in years. And I like to think that people wouldn't mind being a fly on the wall for those conversations. I'm not sensationalistic. I don't put people on the spot. I don't get a guest because they're the prime guy and something bad just happened. I call Kevin Nash to be on the show. And unfortunately, Kevin hasn't been on the show. He's the guy I probably have more stories with than anybody. And unfortunately, he had a really shitty Christmas. Ironically, it was about that time when I wanted to ask him to be on the show. So I waited a couple weeks, and I'm like, dude, I know it's a tough time for you, and if you'd like to be consider be on the show at some time, man, just please let me know. Right. But I don't want to push it, and I'm not calling you now because you're in the news and it's a negative, and I don't do that. There's enough of that crap out there, man, with this reality TV stuff and with some of these goofs that do their podcasts, and that's all they go for. And there's enough crap in the world, man. There really is.
It's almost like I'm the same. Like, once you hear that negativity, so many people are drawn to ask these people, and it's like I think we're in the same mindset. It's like, oh fuck, maybe I'll wait another 6 months.
I can't do it, man. I can't do it. There are enough slimy people out there. I don't ever want to put myself in that position because my dad, would roll over in his grave if I did stuff like that. And it means more to me to be true to who I am and to be the person that my parents, raised, than to be successful at the hands of being low rent. So hey, man, I'm a
big believer in it, positivity, and just being a good person, man.
I try to be.
That's I assume that's you from this this chat and from what I've heard and everything, man. Very cool.
I appreciate it, man.
Cool.
Very much.
Thank you, Bill.
It's been a pleasure.
It's not about being in awe or being around your heroes that is amazing to me. That idea doesn't really do it for me. But I do look back on this situation right here, and I remember being 17 years old and seeing Goldberg, knowing Goldberg equals Jewish wrestler. I can't believe it. I can't believe Barry Horowitz was a wrestler, but I can't believe this Goldberg guy is not only a wrestler, a dominant wrestler, and then a champion wrestler. So for me, it's almost inspiring. It's almost like I hit a goal. My goal wasn't to wrestle him, but like, that we were in a room together doing something on the same level, if you know what I mean. And again, that happened with Stone Cold when Stone Cold and I podcasted. And if you haven't heard that one, go listen to myself and Steve Austin podcasting together. I think episode 174. But here we are now, and it has nothing to do with religion, but the idea of the culture of the religion. And so I think it's inspiring, and I think it's cool that 17-year-old Colt is now doing things with 34-year-old Colt and X amount of years old Goldberg. He did invite me on his podcast. Who knows if we ever get to it. But go listen to his shows. Look on his list. See if there's someone you like. Go give it a listen. And continue with me, listening every week. I appreciate it. All right, before we get out of here, let's get into some plugs and
Upcoming events.
All right, the best way that you can support ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. I got a Twitter and an Instagram at Colt Cabana. I have a very public email, ColtWrestling@gmail.com. ColtCabana.com is my website. I love getting snail mail. I got a P.O. box on that website. Send me some stuff, and the Facebook /AOW podcast and Colt Cabana. Upcoming Saturday, January 31st, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, tinyurl.com/Primos Canada. Sunday, February 15th, London, England. I will be in attendance. RevolutionProWrestling.com. Friday, February 20th, Cleveland, Ohio, AIWrestling.com. Saturday, February 21st, I'm wrestling Jushin Thunder Liger in Rahway, New Jersey, ProWrestlingSyndicate.com. February 27th through March 1st, Indianapolis, Indiana, CultureShockCon.com. Thursday, March 5th, Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, WrestleCenter.com. Friday, I will be appearing. Saturday, March 7th, I will be wrestling Boston, Massachusetts, doing a live podcast during the afternoon, BostonProWrestlingMarathon.com. Friday, March 13th, Houston, Texas. Haven't been there in a long time. LoneStarWrestling.com. Saturday, March 14th, Baltimore, Maryland, MarylandWrestling.com. And Sunday, March 15th, Denver, Colorado. Facebook /Lucha Libre Laughs. That is the show for this week. A huge thanks to Goldberg. Bill Goldberg. Thanks to you guys at home for listening and spreading the word. Thanks to Kim Guy Jeff and Stu Stone, Kid Russell, and Matt Jenkins on the music. Thanks to Dane Miller for all your tech help. Thanks to our sponsors, HighSputs.com. Hundreds of full-length titles available to download, plus all the $5 wrestling titles, AMA knee pads, gears, wrestling ring, and the Freight Train documentary. Also, ProWrestlingTees.com and BarbershopWindow.com, the original alternative and independent wrestling shirt companies, both powered by OneHourTees.com. Custom t-shirts in just an hour. And how about those tweakedaudio.com/Colt earbuds that I'm wearing right now? Get over 30% off and free shipping just because you listen to the show. We're out. Shabbat Shalom. Sheket Lavacha Shah. That's something I remember. It's the only thing I remember from Hebrew school. I think it means shut up, but I used to tell people to shut the fuck up. I don't know. Anybody speak Hebrew? Can anybody confirm or deny Sheket Lavacha Shah? All right, on that note, this has been The Art of Wrestling. For Colt Cabana, I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks.
And I plowed some dudes. And